Hey friends, thanks so much for tuning in. And be sure to stay tuned because this report is much, much bigger than just an election fraud update. But it is 11/11, friends, and justice will be served. Brenda Snipes in Broward County has been exposed for the hardcore criminal she is, but the fraud is not confined to just Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district. Demo rat fraud has occurred across the country. They stole the house. Now comes the justice phase with new Q. And as our friend Joe Messapose tweeted, if only Q would say something dramatic today on 11/11, maybe something about justice or unsealing indictments or D-class. Wait a sec, what's this? He did with post 2478 from Q, let the unsealing begin. Let the D-class begin. Let the world witness the truth. We, the people, justice under the law. Q. And Q followed up with post 2479. What if the below could be proven? Election plus D-Party officials filled out many thousands of blank ballots? Election plus D-Party officials removed and destroyed legal ballots? Election plus D-Party officials deliberately organized non-citizen voting? Election and D-Party officials, locations across the United States, stored many thousands of blank ballots for purposes of altering the vote total? Who safeguarded blank ballots? Who issues blank ballots? Who controls blank ballots? How many blank ballots are generated versus total county population? The control and issuance of blank ballots is key. Why did the same counties, under dispute today, refuse to turn over voter registration information upon request to the Voter Fraud Commission? Why was the Voter Fraud Commission disbanded and turned over to the Department of Homeland Security? What vested authority does the DHS have compared to a commission body? And Q links to a Washington Post article titled Trump and Sessions Warn of Voter Fraud in Tuesday's Elections, with Q concluding, enemy at the front door. We'll see what happens on Monday, folks, but Q has been very active on this Sunday, the 11th, outlining acts of treason and supporting articles against those who have committed treason. Now, friends, with Jeff Sessions out and Matthew Whitaker in, perhaps we will begin to see justice under the law served on the hardcore criminals who have betrayed our nation. Clinton, Obama, Lynch, Podesta brothers. You know the names. It's time to see them in chains. And I'll remind you, friends, we have a no-nonsense president who knows exactly who the criminals are and what they have done.
I'll never forgive him for what he did to our United States military by not funding it properly. It was depleted, and I came in and I had to fix it, and I'm in the process of spending tremendous amounts of money. So I'll never forgive him for what he did to our military. I'll never forgive him for what he did in many other ways, which I'll talk to you about in the future.
And he's a proud anti-globalist.
I look at two things, globalists and nationalists. I'm proud of this country, and I call that nationalism. I call it being a nationalist.
A fact Vladimir Putin undoubtedly appreciates as much as we do. The Russian president went out of his way at the World War I centenary ceremony in Paris on Sunday to give our president a thumbs up and pat on the shoulder. Imagine how different the picture would look, not just for our country, but for the world, if the witch was standing there as president instead of Donald J. Trump. Now stick with me. I want to move on to the horrors that we're seeing in California, Malibu and surrounding areas to be specific. While some, including Q perhaps, have suggested that the cabal wants us distracted by the California fires and recent shooting so that we're not focused on the election fraud in Arizona and Florida, I want to cover something of critical importance in California. The president is aware that the incompetence and gross mismanagement of forests in California is largely to blame for these massive deadly fires. But I want the president and you to know there's more to the story, a lot more. And the full truth is as unthinkably evil as it is horrifying. The Northern California Camp Fire, as it is being called, is consuming property and lives at a rate never before seen in the state. Many people and pets have been trapped by these fires and burned alive as they failed to make escape in time. Like the Sebastopoll fire in October of 2017, the fury of these fires is unprecedented.
Immediately, I knew that these fires weren't normal. I believed it had to be some kind of a military operation, and that's still my belief right now. I started looking up videos of the fires and saw how directed energy weaponry, also called DEW, D-E-W, laser is actually what it is. It's DEW microwave technology, and it's very well documented and it's patented. This is expensive, multi-billion-dollar corporate and governmental work here on these technologies.
Here's more proof positive. Blue laser lights, which people are reporting. We've got now at least 3 separate cell phone smart cameras identifying blue lasers on video, 1 from a helicopter and 2 from handheld cameras, as you can see right here.
These DEWs, I believe, have been used. Too many fires in 2 locations all at once, all burning as if set on fire at once. Nowhere did I see videos of areas catching on fire and spreading. Though it may have happened, all I knew and saw was literally that everything was on fire at the same time. And that's what the videos show. And I saw that night, and I was befuddled with these fires just everywhere, all at once, all around us. No warning. It just didn't add up.
Before you hit the stop button on this video because of the mention of directed energy weapons in the California fires, please let me remind you of my interview with Deborah Tavares earlier this year, in which she read an August 22, 2011 email from PG&E's Vice President of Regulatory Relations, Brian K. Cherry. The subject? Space weather.
So it says reference, space weather, from Brian Cherry. Just a reminder, we are the first to propose a solar generator in space that will beam RF waves down to a receptor site and convert it to DC current. We have changed our receptor site from the Mojave Desert in California to Sebastopoll, California.
Now, hang with me because it gets even more diabolical. That email was from 2011. The massive, unexpected, and unprecedented fires we just heard described by a woman who survived them hit Sebastopol in 2017, the same place PG&E's RF wave receptor site was relocated just 6 years earlier. But PG&E is a public utility, right? PG&E would never involve itself in anything deliberately nefarious, right? PG&E is a corporation, and when you visit pgecorp.com and go to the About Us tab, you find this page. Our team, Roger H. Kimmel, Vice Chairman of Rothschild, Inc., international investment banking firm. Now stay with me because this video ends with a jaw-dropper. I want you to consider United Nations Agenda 21 and the goal to rewild California, to move human beings off of land and into large megacities as the elite reshape North America with a plan so purely evil it would require the unthinkable, technology on a sci-fi level, to implement. Again, my recent interview with Deborah Tavares.
We found recently on the Rothschild website, and it's called Rothschild Global Advisory, and it was a press release on October 30th of 2017 out of New York. And it says Rothschild and Company names Homer Parkhill and Stephen Antonini to co-heads of restructuring North America. So for those of you that know who the Rothschild family is, I can't imagine that any of us would want to be restructured by Rothschild.
A Rothschild plan to restructure North America. UN Agenda 21. Unprecedentedly furious and fast-moving fires. Cars and people incinerated. Many burned to death while trying to escape.
You can see the bones in the front seats. These people got burned out in their cars like I almost did. Dead, dead, dead. Everybody here is dead. All 4 cars. I went to their house right here in this white car to get them out. She had to put her makeup on. She died because of it.
Are you getting angry yet? It's very difficult for a normal, God-fearing human being to imagine anything this dastardly and evil as even being possible. I know. But there are truly evil spiritual forces aligned against us, and the Camp Fire, which has consumed more land and property in California than any other fire in the state's history, brings us full circle, all the way back to Rothschild's PG&E in this report from CBS News.
In Northern California, the Camp Fire has claimed 9 lives and has become the most destructive fire in California history. State fire officials are investigating what caused the fire, but we do know that electric company PG&E experienced a problem with an electrical transmission line near the site of the fire minutes before it broke out. Electric company PG&E experienced a problem with an electrical transmission line near the site of the fire minutes before it broke out.
For real news 24/7, visit us at sgtreport.com.
I did some research. In the history of Supreme Court nomination hearings, military tribunals have never been brought up. There was a 5-minute discussion, as you outlined, between Lindsey Graham and Brett Kavanaugh about the constitutionality of military tribunals. Yes, they've been used in our country's history. Are they constitutional? Yes. Could they be used again? Yes.